Even the wisest of kings can stumble, and Solomon was no exception. Behind the facade of grandeur and wisdom hid a weakness that, as it surfaced, brought his reign to the brink of abyss. Today, we'll delve into all the minute details described in the pages of the Bible, from Solomon's ascension to the throne to his last days of life. I believe that this work deserves your like and subscription to help us spread this video. Solomon, the son of King David and Bathsheba, is a remarkable figure in the scriptures of the Bible, standing out for his wisdom, wealth, and crucial role in the construction of the Temple of Jerusalem. Solomon's ascent to the throne of Israel occurred in a context marked by challenges and family intrigues. After the death of David, his son Adonijah attempted to seize the throne, but the prophetic intervention of Nathan and Bathsheba ensured that Solomon, chosen by God, was crowned king. The revelation from God to David, in which it was said that Solomon would succeed him and build the temple in Jerusalem, occurs in the first book of Chronicles, chapter 22. God said the following, "You have shed much blood and waged great wars. You shall not build a house to my name, because you have shed so much blood before me on the earth. However, you shall not build the house, but your son, who shall be born to you, shall be a man of rest. I will give him rest from his enemies all around. His name shall be Solomon, and I will give peace and quietness to Israel in his days." Solomon, known for the meaning of his name as peace, began his reign by promoting stability and unity in the kingdom. The most prominent characteristic of Solomon that set him apart among the leaders of his time was his extraordinary wisdom. Solomon made a significant covenant with God during the early days of his reign, a moment that not only evidenced his wisdom, but also his intention to seek divine guidance in his governance. This covenant and its conditions are documented in the first book of Kings, chapter 3, verses 3 to 14. The key event occurred in Gibeon, where Solomon offered sacrifices before the Lord. That night, God appeared to Solomon in a dream and said, "Ask what I shall give you." Solomon expressed his humility, recognizing the weight of responsibility in leading the people of Israel, and specifically mentioned his need for wisdom to judge and rule with justice. He acknowledged absolute dependence on God to guide his steps and make wise decisions that would benefit the people of Israel. Solomon's choice to seek wisdom instead of riches or personal success demonstrated his desire to lead with integrity and justice, reflecting the heart of a wise and God-fearing leader. God's response to Solomon's supplication was remarkable. God praised the king's choice, and besides granting the wisdom Solomon requested, also promised additional blessings, including riches and honor, that would be unparalleled in all of Israel's history. A famous episode illustrating this wisdom is the story of the two women who disputed the motherhood of a child, found in the first book of Kings, chapter 3, verses 16 to 28. The narrative describes two women who lived together and gave birth around the same time. However, one of the children died, leading both women to claim the surviving child as their own. Faced with this impasse, the women appeared before King Solomon seeking justice. Instead of making a hasty decision, Solomon proposed an extraordinary solution. He suggested dividing the child in half and giving each woman half. Each woman's response revealed the true mother. The woman who genuinely loved the child begged the king not to harm the child, and instead suggested giving the child to the other woman. The other woman, who was not the biological mother, agreed to the proposed division. Solomon's astute response revealed the true mother, the woman willing to relinquish the child to protect it from harm. Solomon then proclaimed that the true mother was the one who demonstrated genuine maternal love and ordered the child to be given to her. In addition to his wisdom, Solomon was also known for his remarkable achievements, including the construction of the Temple of Jerusalem. This grand project served not only as the spiritual center of the kingdom, but also symbolized God's continued presence among the people of Israel. The grandeur of the temple demonstrated not only Solomon's administrative ability, but also the wealth and prosperity of the kingdom. The desire to build a temple to the Lord was initially conceived by his father, King David. However, it was Solomon who carried forward this noble project. The biblical narrative describes intricate details and precious materials like cedar from Lebanon for the structure and pure gold for the furnishings used in the temple, reflecting the king's dedication and reverence to God. The chosen location for the temple, Mount Moriah, had deep symbolic significance, being the same place where Abraham demonstrated his faith by being willing to sacrifice his son Isaac. This act of faith and obedience preceding the temple highlighted the continuity of the special relationship between God and his people. Solomon's temple became the spiritual and cultural epicenter of Israel, a symbol of unity and worship. Solomon also dedicated himself to international alliances, solidifying commercial and diplomatic relations. The visit of the Queen of Sheba, who came to test Solomon's wisdom, is a notable example of these external relations. These events were recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 10, verses 1 to 13, and the second book of Chronicles, chapter 9, verses 1 to 12. Upon arriving in Jerusalem, the Queen of Sheba presented Solomon with difficult questions, testing his wisdom. The Bible recounts that Solomon answered all her questions, and there was nothing he could not explain. The queen's journey to Jerusalem was marked by an impressive caravan carrying an abundance of spices, gold, and precious stones. The exchange of gifts during the visit highlighted the diplomatic nature of this encounter. In addition to the visit of the Queen of Sheba, Solomon also established diplomatic relations with other kingdoms. He made matrimonial alliances with princesses from neighboring nations like Egypt and Phoenicia, a common practice at the time to strengthen alliances and promote peace among kingdoms. However, throughout his reign, Solomon was not immune to failures. Although celebrated for his wisdom and grandeur, his history is also marked by mistakes and deviations that eventually had significant consequences on his reign and the history of Israel. One of Solomon's main deviations was his involvement with foreign women, contrary to divine instructions. The Bible reports in the first book of Kings, chapter 11, verses 1 to 3, that Solomon married many foreign women besides the daughter of Pharaoh and took princesses from neighboring nations, disobeying God's law that prohibited marriages with women who worshipped other gods. These marriages were not only political alliances, but also introduced foreign cultural and religious influences into Israel. The foreign wives brought with them their religious practices and gradually exerted a negative influence on Solomon. He began to tolerate the worship of various idols and participate in rituals that were contrary to the exclusive worship of the God of Israel. The culmination of this deviation was the construction of temples for the idols in honor of his wives' deities, an act that directly contradicted the commandments given by God. This apostasy, which included the construction of altars, marked Solomon's last days, as reported in the first book of Kings, chapters 11 and 12. These days were characterized by a blend of glory and shadows, revealing the complexities of life and governance. As Solomon aged, his previous choices, especially regarding marriages to foreign women and the acceptance of the worship of foreign idols, began to negatively impact his reign. God's anger manifested, and he raised adversaries against Solomon. Jeroboam, a trusted official, rebelled against the king and became a prominent leader who would eventually lead the northern tribes. Solomon's death marked the end of an era. He passed away after a reign of 40 years, leaving a legacy that included the majestic construction of the Temple of Jerusalem and unprecedented peace and prosperity. The Bible does not provide specific details about the exact cause of Solomon's death. However, in the first book of Kings, chapter 11, verses 41 to 43, it is recorded as follows: "Now the rest of the acts of Solomon, all that he did, and the wisdom that he showed, are they not written in the book of the acts of Solomon? So Solomon slept with his fathers, and was buried in the city of David his father, and Rehoboam, his son, reigned in his place. With Solomon's death, his son Rehoboam ascended the throne. This resulted in the division of the kingdom of Israel into two, the northern kingdom led by Jeroboam, and the southern kingdom composed mainly of the tribes of Judah and Benjamin, led by Rehoboam. Thus, Solomon's last days were followed by a tumultuous transition for his son, who witnessed the kingdom his father built divided under the weight of the consequences of his choices. The story of Solomon is an eloquent reminder of the importance of ethical and spiritual decisions, as well as the long-term consequences of those decisions in the life of a leader and the destiny of a nation. If you've made it this far, I understand that you must have enjoyed the content. Therefore, I ask that you subscribe to the channel and leave your opinion in the comments about the story. May God bless you.